Hey everyone, my name is Alex Haney and today is Tuesday, which means it's time for another backcountry video with me. I do these every Tuesday. And this week I want to talk about hammock camping with you guys. So if you're new to this channel, this is the place for outdoorsy queers to connect and share. And I have this series going on right now called Two Trans Guys, 4 days, 100 kilometers. If you haven't checked that out yet, it's right up here. And this trip was my first experience with hammock camping. First of all, I'll just mention that I'm not a fan of tents. It's the last thing I want to be sleeping out there, not because it's awful or anything. I just, there's a whole bunch of reasons that I could get into, but the number one thing for me is always just that, to me, it just doesn't feel like sleeping outside. So I'm really have been a huge fan of sleeping under a tarp, and ever since I tried that, I just can't go back to a tent. I just love the feeling of actually sleeping outside with the wilderness all around me. You know, obviously with hammock camping, it's a similar thing that you are actually outside, you're just under a tarp in a hammock. And honestly, the number one thing that had prevented me from trying it for so long is just the weight issue. I just really didn't see the point in bringing along the extra weight of a hammock and suspension system when, you know, I had everything I needed for sleeping on the ground. It was working well enough for me. And the other thing is that I don't like to sleep on my back. It's like the last option for me. So I don't know, a hammock just really didn't appeal to me. But then, I don't know, just so many people were talking about it that I just couldn't shake it. So this is, right here, is the hammock plus the bug net. Not very big at all, pretty light. I'll put the weight somewhere in here so you can check it out, but I can't think of it at the top of my head. And then this is just the suspension system. You know, it could go smaller than that. And you know, yeah, it does add a little bit of bulk and weight, but really not that much. Like, I would already have to be carrying a bug net for summer travel, and instead of carrying the hammock, I would have to be carrying a waterproof ground sheet, which actually could be heavier than the hammock, depending on, you know, how heavy duty you go. So, you know, to me, it's just minimal. And after trying it out personally, I think that it's definitely worth it, especially for where I live. Like, obviously, if you live in the desert, then a hammock's not going to work out for you. And also, I'm going hiking in the Rockies later this summer, and I'm not going to be bringing a hammock there because I'm going to be camping above tree line where there's no trees to pitch on. But I found it just so much better suited to the kind of woodland stuff that I usually camp in here in Ontario. You know, usually if you have a tent, for example, you have to find like a big enough spot that's dry, has like no debris. You have to clear off all the debris if there's anything there. You know, you're squishing everything that's on the ground and leaving your footprint there. And yeah, you have to worry about the ground being level, the ground being dry, like where you're gonna put your tent so that if it rains, you know, water's not gonna collect there. There's all these things you have to think about that you don't have to think about when you're hammock camping. All you need is 2 trees, which where I live is, you're always gonna find that. I mean, there was only one site that we came across that wasn't suitable for hammock camping, and that was only because the forest was just so dense there. But it's easy enough to just move a little bit and find a decent spot, you know. There was this one night where we had to camp in this spot that was kind of on a bit of a slope, and it was really rocky, and there was minimal spots for a tent that would have been ideal, or a tarp or whatever, anything sleeping on the ground. But you know, we were able to pitch right by the water, right in this really beautiful spot. It was just so perfect. And then the next night after that, we had to tuck back into the woods a bit because it was super windy right on the main campsite. And yeah, you know, we could have put a tent there, but there's multiple reasons why it would have been really uncomfortable. Like, it was super rocky, it was super windy. We couldn't have taken our tents or tarps or whatever back into the woods because there was just so much brush and stuff. It would have just left too much of an impact. And with the hammocks, it was just really awesome being able to tuck right back in the woods, out of the wind, and just hang our hammocks right over all of that foliage and stuff, and yeah, just float on top of it and not disturb anything. So as for my impressions on my sleep quality, the first night that I slept in the hammock, I wasn't so sure about it. I feel like my number one complaint, as I've mentioned in that video is that I'm using a sleeping pad with it, which makes it kind of awkward, and most people who are serious about hammock camping use something called an underquilt. So basically what you do is you have a quilt on top instead of a sleeping bag, so it just covers you on the top, and then you have something else called an underquilt which you hang from the suspension, so it just kind of floats under the hammock and under you, and it just like envelops you in this floating sleeping bag, which sounds so blissful to me. But anyway, I already had purchased all of this new stuff, so I didn't want to invest in this underquilt unless I knew that hammock camping was something that was worth it to me. So now that I've tried it out though, the first night was hard because I kind of felt like I had to sleep on my back, and I was focusing really hard on trying to stay on a diagonal, which didn't really work out for me, and I kind of felt like I couldn't move at all or else I would fall off the sleeping pad, and then it was kind of a chillier night, so I got a little cold in some spots. But yeah, that was mostly again to do with the sleeping pad, and also sleeping on my back. But then the second night I tried just curling up on my side, and for the next 2 nights of that trip, oh man, I slept so good. Yeah, I'm definitely a convert to hammock camping. Yeah, so if you haven't tried it out yet and you're considering it, I would really urge you to give it a try. Check out some of the links that I'll post below to some of the websites where you can get some of the gear that I talked about, and I'll also link all of Shug Emery's videos and some resources for you down below. If you have tried out hammock camping, I would love to hear your experiences and give me some feedback on maybe things that I should try out that would make it more comfortable. If you're not subscribed to my channel yet, be sure to do that. The next month, actually, the next 4 weeks, starting next Tuesday, is going to be a trans month. So I'm going to be featuring all topics relevant to trans people going into the backcountry. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.